Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I feel like I always start this way because we've got so many different people joining us from different parts of the world. So it's my honor and pleasure to welcome you one of our last few online webinars from the series PPM Summer Talks. I have wonderful, wonderful speakers here today, professionals and experts from the pharma industry. I've got Mohammed Salman Saif here and Joe Stoller. Hello, welcome.
Hello, thank you.
Hi, Katie. Thanks for having us.
Thank you so much. We've got Joe, who will be the moderator, or actually basically, having a panel discussion or kind of leading the panel discussion. Someone's got some wonderful and insightful slides to share on today's presentation on sustainability and how does the role of PM goes hand in hand with sustainability itself. Yeah, I kind of thought that it seems to be that we're just a small group right now, so I do want to make it a bit interactive. So please feel free to unmute yourself, everyone, and show who you are. Feel free to introduce yourself if you'd like, but before that, I would like to give a word to Salman and Joe. So please, Salman, I'll start with you. If you can just, tell us who you are, what you do, what are the projects that you're working on right now, and just to kind of give us a little background so we know.
Sure. No. Again, thank you for having me today. So, as you said, so my name is Salman Saif. I'm based in Belgium, where I work in pharmaceutical company called UCB, which is focused in neurology and immunology drug development. And that's what me and my team does. So I lead a group of program management who are driving this roadmap of drug development across the assets. And what we are trying to do is to really challenge the boundaries and bring in the new concept where program management may not be usually involved, and hence trying to show the value this group and this role can create. I have been part of different conferences in the past, and that's I like to learn from different colleagues. And I think it will be a different experience today, but a very nice one with a small group, where if we are managed to have this interaction, then we can really exchange the views, and by exchanging the views can learn from each other. So again, very happy to be here and looking forward to next 40-50 minutes together.
Yeah, thank you. And really, I'm really grateful that you've accepted the invitation. Most of the people are really busy on Thursdays and Fridays. So that's why that's the reason why we actually do record the sessions. So you might become famous afterwards once we posted it. And if I can actually ask you a question, what is it that you're the most passionate about right now when it comes to your career path? Is it something that you're working on very deeply? Or is it just kind of a general idea of what you do that's kind of what moves you forward? Or if it's something specific that you'd like to share?
So what actually I am very passionate about these days, it's a very personal thing. And I think I feel a bit comfortable since it's a small group. If it would have been a bigger, I may have given a different answer on that. So I have started a personal initiative few months back. So I'm originally from Pakistan, and then I came to Europe for because part of my family lives in England, and then I came for education and work and happened to be in Belgium. I started an initiative a few months ago where I'm trying to connect some of the healthcare professionals in pediatric area based on my personal experience and inspiration, where they can collaborate with each other, share the knowledge. And in this way, it will achieve two outcomes. One, it will improve the outcome for the patients because they will do the patient case-based discussions for the kids. Because why kids? Because they have the whole life in front of them. So if you can impact one's life, just imagine the impact for the whole life. And second, it will help to foster the medical learning. So we started with very small, with only 5 people. And then it expanded to now 75 healthcare professionals over 3 months, where we discuss around 7 cases so far during 3 monthly sessions. And we have 5 countries contributing now in 3 months. So that has been like my evening. So what Joe was saying earlier, when he wakes up in the night, so he writes email. when I wakes up in the night, I work on that actually. So that keeps me motivated and also give me satisfaction these days.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I know it's not always easy to share, the deepest passions, and especially if it's something you've been working on. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. Is it any plan that you've got with, this initiative that you've started putting together? Have you got kind of like a timeline or anything any steps that you want to reach in the next, maybe, next 3-4 months?
Yeah, so there is a vision for that first, and then the plan is to implement that vision, and then we will change the plan. So the vision is that we want to create some sort of a regional digital network where these experts will join, and then across the borders, people can share the cases based on the needs and have this discussion. So we are trying to connect the expertise. And the good thing is that when you start discussing, people are so much willing to help. So it's just a matter to connect people together. And that's my plan, and that's my role, to connect with them. And then hopefully by the end of this year, that comes to your question on the plan, it's to at least create a stable platform where things would be well set. Now it's still on ad hoc basis since it's only 3 months, it's a pilot phase. So we hope by end of this year, we move from pilot phase to more sustainable phase. And that's also somehow linked to my topic and my background. So we want to contribute towards the society, to whatever we do in our individual capacity, in personal life, but also in professional life through the work in our companies and organizations.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing it. Honestly, whenever you feel like, you're ready to share, about your process and the journey and your initiative, feel free to, to post it and, write a blog post about it, maybe for other people to, I feel like there are many people who are passionate and they do want to start their initiatives themselves, but they don't know where to start, how to do it. And maybe, you could lead by an example if you'd feel like sharing. You can do so on our platform. There are over like 260 people there now. So feel free whenever you're ready. It'll be great for people to read it.
Absolutely. No, thank you for the offer. I will take that, and we can fine tune the time.
Not pay. I don't pay for 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 you putting the blog post there, just to let you know.
No, that's fine.
Yeah, and Joe, please tell us something about yourself. What is it that kind of drives you? What gives you motivation? What kind of, I wanted to say what wakes you up, but I mean, what keeps you up?
Yeah, Katie, thank you. And happy to be on today with Salman and talk about this topic of sustainability. So I'm here in San Francisco, and so about 7:15 in the morning. I see a few others here from the West Coast. So
Yeah,
good that everyone's getting up and at 'em. Hey, Mark. So let's see, something I'm passionate about. As a project manager, I've been managing projects for the past decade, and all in the prior to the one that I'm on now, everything has been a bit of a Me Too drug. So never the first in class, never the first for an indication. And currently I'm working on one that is potentially first in class. And that's really exciting for me. It's blazing a new path, treating a new patient group that has a mutation in oncology that's never been treated before. So it's really an unmet medical need, and it's exciting to try to provide something that allows them to live longer and give hope. And so that's what's driving me these days. It's very exciting.
Thank you for sharing. And please feel free to say, you're actually our last speaker of the conference tomorrow. Is it a few words or a few sentences you'd like to say about Gridle? Everyone, I know what Gridle is now, so please.
Yeah, tomorrow will be an encore session. So I gave a presentation in July about Gridle, and coming back tomorrow to round out that session. And between that time and now, a few folks have taken some of the opportunity to apply Gridle in their company. So it'll be interesting to see how that adoption has been going. So I'll walk through Gridle, which again is goals, risks, issues, decisions, actions, lessons learned. I have a case example that's kind of relevant with the vaccines for COVID, and then we'll talk about the implementation. So I'm excited to go through that session tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you so very much. And I'm really excited to have everyone on board here today. Salman and Joe, thank you again for accepting the invitation. It's my honor to have experts and professionals like yourself here and other people joining us and attending, especially all the familiar names that have been coming and not kind of logging off, but really staying and coming back for more information. So it's always a pleasure. Yeah, so without further ado, I would say I'm going to give a space for Joe and Salman to tell us all about sustainability and how it works hand in hand with the PM. So everyone, this is Joe and Salman. And if you've got any questions, feel free to pop them in the chat and we'll probably answer them towards the end. I'm not sure if the gentleman would like me to kindly interrupt them throughout, or maybe we leave it at towards the end. Not sure. Keep the chat floated and keep it coming. Keep the questions coming. And without further ado, again, this is Salman and Joe. So thank you again and enjoy.
So to your point about questions throughout, I think we're a small enough group. Maybe we can kind of interrupt and be dynamic. And with that, so Salman and I met earlier this week and walked through some of the presentation. And this is going to be a great presentation because as project managers, we mostly focus on just our project goals and getting to the next step in our project goals. But Salman is thinking about something more broad. He's thinking about the impact on society and how our goals, how our projects impact society. So I hope we come away with a broader perspective of what our projects are doing for the world. So Salman, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot, Joe. So what I will do, so it's not a formal presentation, but just few slides to facilitate our discussion, which I will present. And then again, as Joe said, we are a small enough group to feel free to stop me at any time or send your question towards chat. So there are couple of slides to introduce the topic. So the idea is actually that, as Joe was introducing, we are talking a lot about role of PMs or PMOs in terms of execution. So you are given a project and then you have to make it happen. So next milestone, risk management, scenario planning. So this is all good, right? Nothing wrong. What I wanted to bring, it's another dimension and potentially raising the bar and expanding the boundaries, where to see that how we as a group, as individual and as a group, as an organization or together can create that awareness and eventually the impact to drive the sustainability, which means that how we can make sure that we are having the impact and the contribution to society, and also if you're working in healthcare, then towards the patient. So that's the idea. What I mean by that, first I want to establish that sustainability or sustainable access, whatever terminology you may have heard in your own environment, it's a key strategic vector to consider in any program, portfolio, or a project strategy. Usually we are all used to see portfolio as since I work in drug development company, for me, the portfolio, it's the existing drugs that we are having, if they are in development, late stage, in my case, or the ones which are already launched. So that is usually defined as portfolio. And then we try to do all the prioritization, risk management, and all other sorts of program project management techniques around them. What some companies or let's say we could do is what I call innovation. It's to think a bit broader. Okay, how the unmet need is going to evolve in mid to long term. What could be the patient needs into mid and long term? So it's more your very early stage pipeline, and how the strategic fit of those early stage pipeline is required for your organization. So that's what I call innovation pillar. So that's already also happening, and project program management are involved as well, directly or indirectly. Then, recently or in recent past emerged the dimension of digital, how we can connect the patient to improve the outcome, how we can have more digitalization to optimize or or to faster the pace of the thing. So that's also well established now, the pillar. Where I want to focus is the sustainability, which is not terribly new to say, but it's still new in a relative term because this concept emerged quite a lot in recent past. And by that, I mean that whatever we do, any project, any program, any portfolio we have, how it can add really the value, or how we can share the value and make an impact directly towards the society and patient. There could be multiple ways. One is that, the normal portfolio practice is that that you develop a drug, you try to go to the market which are most profitable, and you think about the rest really afterwards, if one day you go there. But now the thinking is that if you operate in a society from where a company or the organization is getting a benefit, then there is a responsibility to share that benefit across the board, because we want the betterment of the whole planet in the end. So I understand the companies we belong to are for profit, so company needs to make the profit. So my proposition here is not to sell the drugs for free, but actually make intentional efforts, exploring the avenues through partnership, through innovative funding models and other things, where we make sure the drugs would reach to the people or the patient who need, regardless of the boundaries. And so this is one aspect of sustainability. And then whatever we do as part of the organization, as part of the projects, as part of our programs, we contribute towards the betterment of the planet, whether it's impact on environment, whether it's reducing the carbon footprint and other things. So that's what I mean by sustainability. And then all together is wrapped up how we work together in a collaborative and transversal way. So that's the ways of working. So the idea of my first slide is first to establish that sustainability is a key factor, is a key vector in any strategy that we are developing now. It's not a choice anymore, it's more a competitive advantage. And you may have seen more and more companies are really advertising a bit, being the top 1, top 3 into sustainable access, into leading those kind of initiatives, because there is more and more realization from the stakeholders and ask to implement such concepts onto that. I will come now into more details what I mean by sustainability and what kind of projects I mean that. For example, now my second part of presentation is that PM and PMO has a key role to develop and drive the sustainability framework. So first, what I mean by a sustainability framework. So let's look at this example. I'll try to take you through. If our objective as part of the pharma company, healthcare company, drug development company to address the unmet need or a specific patient population. So what I want to do is to create an individual experience for that patient, which can help to address their unmet need, unique outcome. But I need to also ensure whatever I can do, the access to that medicine. If that medicine, it's very expensive, is very limited in terms of the access, and is not available to most of the population who need that, then as an organization, we have not yet achieved our objectives. Then the outer layer is kind of stakeholders we want to address. So we want to think across the board. First, our shareholders as well. As I said that they are for-profit organizations, so we want to create the value in terms of the money as well. But at some point, we need to think about the access to medicine, how we can balance both of that. Our own employees, I heard recently a saying internally from someone is that, okay, we do everything for the patients, but we also need to make sure that we don't make our employees patient as well. So we need to think about the well-beings of the employee and all the needs through diversity, equity, and inclusion. Then what I mentioned on my first slide, whatever we do, what is our contribution towards the community and the planet? So the organization who is getting benefit from this society, they need to share back that value. Otherwise, and again, don't confuse that with the social work. It's not really a social work. It's even for the sustainability for the business for a long term, because if only one part of the society taking most of the value, majority is not having the share in that, that itself is not sustainable. So how we can find the innovative ways to address that? So that's a key question, and there are no easy answers to that. But if I bring now concept to more, let's say, concrete examples, where I say what are the few examples that I can quote where some companies have worked or are working towards that. For example, my company UCB, they have starting different pilot projects in Africa and Asia to find some innovative ways for sustainable access, because we have products launched in epilepsy. So we are looking at that, what could be the ways through partnership to engaging some local stakeholders, and also potentially compromising on the usual profit range that we have for the other part of the world, for US and Europe, so that we make an intentional effort and a sincere effort to make the drug available for the people who need that. Then you may have seen Novartis is very active in that as well, and they put a very aggressive objective to increase the access into low and middle income people by 200% by 2025. And I'm sure they would be also looking towards these innovative ways and collaborative models and different funding opportunities. Then in my previous experience, when I was in Baxter, there was a project to go from PVC to non-PVC. And for those who do not know this term, it was to help the environment to remove some toxic chemical elements, so that the material you produce as part of dialysis will not harm the environment. Then we all hear a lot about this carbon neutral targets, which many organizations, at least in Europe, have set to be neutral by 2030 and then onwards there. Lastly, coming back to the employees part as well, how we can create this diverse and inclusive workforce where we address the needs of the people who needs to make this happen. This diversity and inclusion can mean anything in terms of profile, in terms of background, in terms of gender, but also the environment and the motivation for that people are working that. You may be thinking that, it's all, what's the relevance towards project and program management? Because we are used to talk about milestones, risk management, scenario planning, and all that. And what is the relevance for program and project management? Because I believe we are really set in a place to drive these initiatives for the future. Whatever a project is being initiated in the very early on, when you are making your target product profiles, thinking about strategy, what you want to achieve, thinking about your corporate goals, thinking about your project or program goals for short, mid, and long term, we need to think well in advance how we can make sure there are very specific KPIs linked to the patient access, very specific KPIs to the impact on environment. And also, most importantly, how in our governance body, we can put this as a criteria for any decision making, because usually how we take that, what is the cost, what is NPV, like how much revenue certain project is bringing, but we need to also introduce what is the impact, the sustainability impact of each decision that we are having. And it's not easy what I am saying that, so therefore it's a journey. And that's my one of the last slide where I think that why PMO and PM are really set well, because first, their ability to integrate. In most organizations, they have this transversal role to combine different pieces, as this sustainability dimension is not part of one function, but all the organization from top to down. And PMs and PMO in most of the organization are able to have this visibility across the value chain. Second, we are used to do this strategic execution. So we have this ability and capacity to run the machine. So once something is set up, integrated and aligned, we know how to make it happen. Thirdly, we have been agile and flexible. So if there are new realities and new dimensions to add, I believe that PMs and PMO mostly would have that adaptability to change and accelerate where required. And we have seen this vaccines example that doing things in 1.5 years, where it takes 6, 8, 10 years in the past. Lastly, very important, the ability to drive the change. There, some PMs, PMOs may lack that competency and capacity based on the experience and the expertise, but that's very much required because it's a journey, not a one-step short, to include the sustainability as part of your natural decision-making, natural strategic thinking, natural program management tools as well. And lastly, and very important, which is very close to my heart, and this is the slide which I am showing a lot in last few days in different discussions. I have been part of that. I think this is a real opportunity to raise the bar because I truly believe program, project, portfolio management in most organization is underutilized. They can deliver a lot. They are focused primarily on tactics, which is not bad, but where I have a difference of opinion, it's to have all the focus there. I think we are really situated in a place with all the visibility across the value chain. We can bring a lot in terms of strategic inputs and more key strategic contributions for the future, which will impact the role of PMs or PMOs, but also very importantly, ensure the contribution towards the society and the patient. And I will end up with the saying, which again, I like it a lot these days, which says, like true superstars not just play the game, but they change how the game is being played. And that's my actually invite and challenge for the community here. And also whenever I interact with that, we should think about the innovative ways, how we can change the rule of the games, because we all know that milestone tracking, risk management, all those things getting automated, and it's not long, then those things will be even more automated, and hence the relevance and the contribution, the value of the role may not be there what is here today. So to raise the bar, to have this value recognized and even broaden the scope, we need to think about the different horizons and scope where we want to go. Thank you for listening to me. I hope it was clear what I wanted to communicate as a message, but I'm very happy to take some clarifying questions or other questions that you may have. Thank you. Hand over to you, Joe.
Salman, this is fantastic. And again, I feel inspired. If you wouldn't mind going back a few slides to the framework slide, because I think that's a key part of the message here. When before I saw this presentation, when I thought about sustainability, it was more about how companies are preserving the planet and initiatives that they're taking to preserve the planet. And this, I started to experience this at AstraZeneca when they were switching their inhalers from, I forget what the material was, but something that depletes the ozone to something that is carbon neutral. And it was a big deal for the company. There was a lot of press around it, a lot of excitement. And it occurs to me that's just one piece of sustainability, the health of the planet. And now, as you show here, access to medicines, employee health, what I think is so important. We talk about a lot of wellness activities and companies that are kind of adopting wellness, but that should be table stakes, right? That should be a standard in any organization, because the sustainability of the organization, as you pointed out, depends on the employee health. So I think this slide nicely ties together all the components of what should be considered sustainability. And I look forward to the day where a lot of these initiatives are no longer initiatives. They're just part of doing business at some of these companies. The ability to think long-term into the future and think about aspects beyond just our projects, but the impact on society and how we're thinking about the health of the planet and the health of the employees and providing access and improving innovation. This is all I look forward to the day as no longer initiatives, but just part of doing business.
Absolutely, Joe. I think you have said the key word, like when it becomes part of the business, because I also have a feeling that so far it's something nice to have that you want to carry on in parallels to show that you are concerned about those things. But there is a journey to make it part of the decision making, part of the business. Whenever we are deciding to accelerate or stop something, to buy something, to sell something, to close a site or something, all these parameters are one of the criterias of your decision making. And that is the moment when it really becomes part of the business, that okay, you look at the numbers, you look at the cost, you look at the revenues, all those things, but you also put some weightage here in the end. So therefore I just want to emphasize that what you just said, because I really like that word, that it will become real when it becomes part of the business.
Mm-hmm. And we can open up to questions. I have one more thought here, and this kind of gets into the tactical implementation of this framework. As we evaluate our portfolio and as we evaluate the projects within our portfolio, I have never seen even a checkbox or a consideration of, what is this doing for the planet? What is this doing for access? What is this doing for our internal employees? We do talk a lot about innovation. That seems to be a good parameter for evaluating projects. But you mentioned NPV and other metrics that we use to show kind of quantitative impact. But I would love to see a rubric where health of the planet, access to medicines, employee health are all included in the evaluation of the projects. Any ideas, any thoughts on how we can get those things included?
Oh, absolutely. Again, a great question. And I think what I see in my organization, so we have started that journey. We are not yet there where you will see all those 3 boxes checked for a project. And it will always happen from top to down. If your board really buy into that definition of that, okay, it has to be part of their strategy, and then the organizational committee or ExCom executive committee really buys into that, because ultimately they are the decision making bodies. What is happening, which is good, is that from last year, the access to medicine with some concrete goals has been part of the corporate yearly milestone. And the way it works, when you are given a corporate targets and milestone, then every part of the organization needs to translate how they will contribute towards that. And naturally, then every project, drug development or others, need to mention along NPVs and others, what are the number of patients they are going to impact, how it is different from last year, so that there is that incremental change every year to reach to the patient. So I see rather clear roadmap on the access to medicine, and to some extent to the contributions towards the health of the planet, with some clear KPIs and targets on the carbon footprint and other, but very less on the employee health and wellness and how each project will or will not impact. But it's not still yet coming together. But as I said, that just to finish, it has to come from top to down, because if you really start the initiatives very low in the organization, it will just remain nice to have, and it will never become part of the business, because those guys are not really the decision maker. Decision maker really sits at the top, because it will influence a lot company direction, company strategy and value. And you may even have to lose a bit of money in a short term if you choose to go into some of the part of the world where you are not earning the same percentage of profit, or even just doing a break even. But my point here is that it's not a choice, it's a competitive advantage, and very soon it will translate into business benefits. It may take 3 years, 5 years, but that will be the reality.
Salman, I totally agree. And I see Estela's put a question in the chat that's related. How do we get buy-in from senior leadership? They're kind of looking at bottom lines, they're looking at dollar figures, and so unless it starts at the top, you know, it would be hard to convince them to change that mindset into something that's broader and more socially driven.
Yeah. Again, I think it's a very good question, and I can tell you that. So the person who heads the sustainability in our company, I was reporting to her not this year but last 2 years. It's a very tough job to convince your shareholders first, and it even starts from the board, because not everyone is as concerned as you are about the planet, about the patients and all that, right? But the good thing is that where you can start convincing, because people always value the benchmark, right? And in my screen, I have given you example. Novartis is doing that, AstraZeneca is doing that. So there is a reason why everyone is doing that, because they know that it's not just to look good. It's not, as I keep saying, that it's not just too nice to have a nice nice advertising for your company, but it will really be a comparative advantage. And it may not be really a right example here, but I remember that from garments. You know, in the past, it used to be the case that you buy not very expensive clothes, so you wear it once, you throw it out, next week you buy a new one, and then you keep changing on that. But now the young generations, they are not asking for that. They are ready to pay more if it contributes to the environment. So if something is more sustainable and green, they can pay more, wear the same dress multiple times, if it's not wasting the water and the recycling of that. So the needs of your ultimate customer are changing as well. And very soon you will see that the patients will be looking for that, which companies are really driving those initiatives. They would be looking for the products from those companies. And I think these kind of arguments will speak to your shareholders and stakeholders. And since it's not only one company doing that, many people are doing that, so there is a reason for that. But it will be a journey. Again, some people will become on board soon, some will be less, but it has to be top to down. And and people will always look for profitability, because these companies are for profit and they need to make profit to pay the salaries of people like you and me. Otherwise we won't be here at first place. So it's not to decrease your profitability, but to share the value with the society to increase your profitability in a long term. So it's just to have a more long-term vision and the concept of integration.
Salman, I want to dovetail into that. And you mentioned, you know, having your company look at the competitive landscape. And I'd like to share my screen real quick. There was an initiative while I was at AstraZeneca that, you know, there's this index, Access to Medicine Index. There was an initiative at AstraZeneca that we wanted to be in the top 5 of this index. This wasn't a corporate goal or anything. It was just kind of an internal goal that we had. And look at the leaders. So GSK, Novartis, J&J, Pfizer, Sanofi, AstraZeneca, we finished just outside in 2021, but we do have a goal of getting into the top 5. And so this, I think, is an interesting benchmark, comparing some of the companies. These are all very well-known and established companies. And so using this as kind of an incentive, like if we're at a small company and we're able to provide access to patients to be able to even get on this list, then we're doing good things. We're up there with, you know, some of the big companies. So this is one way to benchmark and show the leadership. You know, there are indices out there that rank companies, and, you know, it's good for society, it's good for the company, it's good publicity. You know, all positives that come out if you end up on this list.
Absolutely. And actually, you know, I saw in Novartis website, they are publicizing that, because like they ranked second in 2021 Access to Medicine Index. So that's my point again. It's not just publicity and advertising. In the end, it will become a comparative advantage. There is a reason why you want to be in top 5. You know, if it's not to bring any value, why you want to be in top 5? Because it offers you a real comparative advantage for the future.
Quick question, if I could jump in, guys. Great discussion, very engaging. Thank you, very informative. Just breaking down one of the particular, I totally agree that this has to be set as kind of an overarching strategic objective to be able to be meaningful and relevant and to be able to kind of prioritize initiatives that are going to be 3 to 5 years in duration. When leaders are talking in terms of trade-offs, in terms of benefits, I imagine one of the things, Salman, to your point, more and more employees today are caring about sustainability, are caring about working for an organization that is not just in it for the short-term profit. Can you speak a little, both of you, can you speak to your experience with how can companies think about just looking at employee engagement? There's lots of other areas of advantage, just like Joe, you were talking about in terms of there's positive press. I'm sure there's stakeholder advantages or shareholder advantages. But let's just talk about employee engagement. Have you guys been aware in terms of discussions, or even if companies that have successfully gone on a journey of sustainability, how has that impacted employee engagement? Because more and more employees do want to work for companies that have sustainable strategies in place.
So you want to go first, Joe, or?
I have one, and this is kind of a small example, but it ties in, Mark. So at Achaogen was a small company, about 100 employees, and one of our employees, the head of clinical operations, just started a grassroots project called the Green Project, where she wanted to get all of the plastic cups out of the building and instead use porcelain cups that are reusable. So I mean, it's a very small project, but it got the rest of the company thinking about our waste and thinking about the planet. And I mean, that was one just kind of small example, but it got the rest of the company excited about it. And that could trickle up. Achaogen doesn't exist anymore, but that could trickle up and influence senior management to apply some of these things more broadly across the portfolio. And so that's one opportunity, I guess.
That's good.
I think it's a very, very good and relevant example, Joe. And if I think about my working environment, so in terms of employee engagement, introducing sustainability concepts, and more recently in last 18 months on different diversity inclusion initiatives, that actually help employee, where we try to do a quick survey within our group to link them with more reality also, because otherwise it could seem that you're working in an organization which is isolated to your society. It's more like artificial environment. You come and then you go, you are a different person at work, and then you're a different person afterwards. So people feel more related and engaged due to those different initiatives that also help in terms of their commitment towards the organization, because they see that there is an intentional effort to address those challenges, and also actually have them heard. And once you have employees feel that they are being heard, then they pass that line, what I call the line from compliance to commitment. Compliance is that you do the minimum, what's given to you, your checklist. I have 10 things I've done. If I finish in 4 hours, I don't do my 4 hours anything. Commitment is that I have an objective, and then I go extra mile because I have a motivation. I find a way, whatever is it takes me more time, it takes me go beyond my boundaries, but I have that motivation because I feel engaged, I feel empowered, and therefore I'm willing to take that step. And that's the difference. I think if sustainability can bring that engagement or that motivation, that's very powerful for any organization.
Completely agree. Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
I see we have a question in the chat, and Peter, if you want to jump in and talk, please, let's open up the line.
I think last time, actually, when Peter had that question, he said that they were sleeping babies next to him, so there might be a case.
Got it. I know, I'm familiar with
Well,
that.
maybe actually not right now. I can see him.
I had one question. Well, you've noticed that AstraZeneca created vaccine at their cost, and in most countries they even did not communicate it. So do you think it's an act of sustainability, because they don't create budget for fighting adverse PR, anti-vaxxers, stupid politicians, and well, they actually said in our country that, you know, about AstraZeneca, and it destroyed the vaccination. Well, they stopped it actually in Slovakia. So, and on the other hand, they did not create a budget so they could give away thousands, millions, 100,000s of vaccines to really poor countries. So do you think giving away at cost is a sustainable approach or not?
You know, it's an interesting question. If I'm understanding it correctly, you're saying that, you know, AstraZeneca promised to give to provide the drug at cost and make no profit, and that limited their ability to really provide it broadly, because they had no budget for it. You know, it's interesting, and a company, all right, so I'm just saying this from the outside and it's personal opinion, but a company like AstraZeneca, who has money, right? They just bought a $26 billion asset, or a $26 billion company. They have money, and they have a dedication to society to provide things. I think they can do it. I think they could have put money to the side and enabled broader access. Whether that, you know, whether they're actually doing it, I don't know, but I think they have the means to do it, even while providing the drug at cost. I thought there were other companies too that promised something similar, especially for emerging markets, to provide the drug even for free or at cost. And I don't know if that actually played out. I think that's something interesting the World Health Organization is tracking too, and kind of pressing. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the next, you know, couple of years, because I think we're all realizing the vaccine is here to stay now with boosters, you know, becoming prominent, and so this will be something that continues on for several years. So we'll see how companies make it sustainable over the long haul.
Yeah, and I would think, Peter, as a principle, if company is reducing their profit margins to the one that they are used to have, to make the drug accessible for particular region, I think it goes in that direction of sustainable access. So they are compromising their usual profit margins to make it available to someone who needs it, right? But I don't know in case of AstraZeneca their numbers, so I can't speak to that example. But in principle, that example, that act goes into that direction, right? And then you are right. So even if they try to do that, they get quite a bad press and coverage, and rest we all know that, right? So I'll not say anything else on AstraZeneca there. But to what you said, I think it goes into that directions if they are doing that.
It might go, but actually they did not communicate in Central Europe that it's at cost, that they're doing something in favor. So only we've seen were bad news about it. So I think it's a reputation risk, and I understand corporation as they have budget in silos. I don't know if there is no budget in this vaccination. So it's not that easy to put the money in the other. So let's give it free, because they're losing here. Being at cost, sometimes they can underestimate the costs. There might be hidden costs. They have bad reputation, and they have bad reputation in many countries, even in the minds of people that never heard about AstraZeneca. Now they're, oh, it's AstraZeneca, I don't buy it. I take another one.
Yeah, and if I may add one thing, and I think it's a very hard concept because it's still not very crystal clear and practical. Sustainability doesn't mean social work. It's not to give things free, because company needs to make profit in the end, and that's why they will be sustainable. But it's to make an intentional effort to make the drug accessible in a right way for as many people as you want. or as many people as you could have, right? That doesn't mean that you need to give a drug at your cost, which means you're not making any profit, which means that how you will pay your, the future development, all those things. So you need to think about those things as well. But it's not to have so big profit margins that in some countries we see that the healthcare and pharmaceuticals company have, that if you keep those ones across the countries throughout the world, it's just impossible for majority of the patients to have access to that medicines. But it's not really to do a social work where you think a company will start giving free medicines to everyone in the world, because then they will not survive.
Peter, yeah, thanks for the question, and definitely interesting topic, and something we'll continue to watch over the next couple of years. It'll be fascinating.
Thank
Salman,
you.
with 3 minutes left, shall we wrap up? Closing remarks?
Yeah, I wanted to say just, if there's anyone else who's got any questions, please feel free to join and pop in, unmute yourself so we can see who you are. And of course, if you think of a question that you might have later on, feel free to contact Joe or Salman or myself, and I'll get you in touch, or post the questions publicly. Actually, from yesterday, Peter's questions, who just spoke, Peter, the questions were uploaded on our PPM workout platform, and one of our attendees, Vladimir, he actually started like putting down his opinions and views on it. So feel free to join and hop in and make it into a discussion if you feel like that's what you want to do, because it's fun. It's fun to exchange your views and opinions on things and problems and issues. And I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm just a tool here, but I bring all of you together here for everyone to share the wisdom that you've got. Camille actually says, join late, but great to see Joe and Salman presenting this important topic. Congrats, guys. Yeah, hi, Camille. Thank you. Thank you for joining a bit. This session is being recorded, by the way. So please, I was joking with Joe at the beginning of the session, hop into our YouTube channel, like and share, subscribe. So please do so. And I will also, I don't want to spam everyone at the PPM workout platform, and I do want to start putting all of the videos there for everyone to have an easier access there in the group of recordings, webinar recordings, so it's easy for everyone to really rewatch them, and this one is going to be there as well. So I'm just trying to see if there are any chat notes, but this was really, really lovely, and I loved everyone joining in. I think this was a topic that I felt like was really needed to be presented. So thank you, Salman and Joe as well. Any last words that you've got for us?
Well, I would just like to thank you. I think it was a great discussion, and this topic is very close to my heart. So I'm really willing to continue that chat with any one of you who are interested afterwards through LinkedIn and all that. And thank you, Camille. So Camille is my colleague in UCB. We were just talking 1 hour ago. So it's good to see you were able to join. But no, thank you, Kathy, and thank you, Joe, and everyone who joined in.
Thank you. I was actually trying to get Camille on board for the PPM Summer Talk, so now I actually can say, and it's going to be all recorded here forever. I can.
Oh, he's a very busy guy. He's a very busy guy. You can't get hold of him.
Well, I kind of did, but then I'll ask him next time.
Happy to contribute, Katie. Thanks so much for the invite there.
Of course, yeah. Thank you so much for joining, and hopefully you'll be able to rewatch the session as well. There's some comments from Peter and Estelle saying, thank you, Salman and Joe. It was very interesting and a needed topic. And you were actually the first online webinar that spoke on sustainability and kind of how it goes hand in hand with, for your business and in pharmaceuticals. So I'm really, really grateful for your input. And please, I'm not sure if you'll be able to, or if it's too confidential, but you can also share the PowerPoint at the PPM workout platform, or you can send it to me and I will upload that, and other people can actually find it very useful because it was insightful and fruitful. So yeah, thank you so much again, everyone. It's 5 o'clock here in Slovakia, and I do not want to keep everyone here. And I want to just say thank you so much. I'm getting emotional because it's our last day tomorrow. We've got 5 weeks are at the end, and there is gonna be Joe presenting tomorrow. So 4 days in a row. He's a musketeer, strong, who can't sleep. So he will be here with us tomorrow, presenting a keynote on a griddle. Very, very exciting. It's going to be recorded as well. Please come and join us. We've got many, many questions regarding this, who I've been getting actually via emails from other experts from the business. So Joe is going to be here answering all the questions and presenting. So yeah, same time tomorrow, last session of the PPM Summer Talks. And last time you'll be able to hear me for a little while. So enjoy that. Come and join us. And I'm going to leave it here. So thank you so much, everyone. And anything you've got going on, please share it. We all want to know what your questions are in your mind, and share them all with us. And experts, not myself, experts will answer. I'm sure they will. So thank you again so much. And thank you, Salman and Joe, for joining, and everyone else for being part of this wonderful journey. I'm getting emotional, so I'll leave it here.
Thank you, Katie.
Thanks,
Great
everybody.
pleasure.
Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye. Bye for
Bye-bye.
now.
Yes, take care, everybody.